Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Making some tweaks on social media. Welcome back, everybody. Just getting ready to come down the stretch here on the Tuesday edition of Snowman in the Morning. How do you like the new backdrop? What's up, Victor?
How's it going, Stuntman? What's going on?
I kind of been messing around a little bit with the set.
Okay.
And as you can see, this happened.
I see. Looks nice.
I'm not done with it. I'm not done with it yet. I've been messing with it all morning. There will be a time change with the show, and this is the final one because of the time that my daughter works, and I want to be sure to get her home, and I get breakfast and all kinds of things we had talked about today, and I talked about it with Jody. So we're going back to 11 a.m. effective immediately, just to be sure everybody gets home, and she gets breakfast and gets rest. I get breakfast, and just giving myself a little time to get everything, and plus it'll give us time to build the momentum at the 11 a.m. hour. Nora, Truth is with us. Good morning to you, my man. That's the other thing I got to do with this setup. I got to stretch it out. I got some adjustments to make. Someone asked me before we get Alison on here. Someone asked me what was the worst drink I ever had. That's easy. 2 years ago, I had a colonoscopy, and the worst drink I had was what they gave me to prepare for said colonoscopy.
Oh dear!
It was. Listen, if you could think of the nastiest drink you ever had, and I forgot to send this to Alison. Let me get this to her right now. If you could think of the nastiest drink you've ever had, ever. I don't care if you were bribed into it. I don't care if you were talked into it. I don't care if you were dared into it. It's nothing compared to what I had to do 2 years ago in November to get ready for this colonoscopy. Here's what happened. I wasn't supposed to, what's up, AB Media? I wasn't supposed to have a colonoscopy until March of 23. But at the end of October, they wanted me to get a colonoscopy. So Jody and I are thinking, okay, we got 6 months to get ready for this. Nope. Doctor said, can you get in here tomorrow? What? Tomorrow? Can you get in here? Yeah. Can you get in here tomorrow? I looked at Jody. She looked at me and she went, yep. And we're like, okay, let's do it. There's one thing. And already my spider senses went up. You have to drink this, and they put it in this box. I now call it the box of death. Men, you have to get a colonoscopy, especially if you're my age. I just turned 52 3 weeks ago. You got to get a colonoscopy. But that drink was nasty, and I didn't sleep at all. Jody was on it. She kept telling me, come on, you got to get, it's been 4 hours. You had to drink something every 4 hours. It got so bad, I had to hold my nose so I wouldn't smell it while downing it. And I didn't, and I was told to like drink it consistently. The hell with that. I chugged that like a beer.
You got to. When it's that bad, you got to just chug it down.
I held my nose and I chugged it like a beer 3 times. The last time kept me up all night because Jody was like walking me around the house. She was giving me a shoulder rub, and she says, "You're on the last one." When I tell you I made a mess, I made it completely.
I can't do this one.
Look, that's one of the few times Jody ever got mad at me because I made a mess. She knew why. When did I sleep? When they gave me the anesthetic.
Yep. That's usually how it works.
Most peaceful 40 minutes of my life.
I think I told you I had my epidoscopy, right?
Did you sleep good?
Bruh. Everyone's been telling me about like how
Dude,
you got to count backwards from 100 to 1. Say the alphabet. They didn't tell me nothing. They said, turn around here, stay like this. I'm like, okay. When you got somebody to go, okay, put the thing on. Okay.
And you were out. Speaking of out, let's let someone in. It's time for this edition of The Token Female, and today it is presented by BetUS.com. BetUS.com, where the game begins. Good morning, my dear Alison. How are you?
I am doing great, and damn colonoscopies. What a way to segue into Token Female.
You know what? Someone asked me that when I was on the way home this morning. I had a friend text me that question. He said, you should ask this for your question of the day. And it immediately came to that because on top of that, my wife texted me and said, I don't ever want you to go through that again. I said, God willing, honey, I won't have to.
God willing, at least not until every 10 years. If you're in good shape. But, I'm going to say it's for the women, too. You have to get your colonoscopy. Absolutely. If you turn 50, you've got to do it. It's a pleasant. Do it with a friend. Make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row. The first one I did was Miralax. And, I gulped it down. My husband took a moment and just kind of held my hand through the whole way. I was very lucky to have that. Yeah.
Because every time I held my nose and chugged it, she was behind me like massaging my shoulders.
I love it.
She said you gotta get through this because it's tomorrow, and I'd rather have you do it tomorrow, which was like November 1st. And now have to wait another 6 months, which of course she's right all the time. So she called that one correctly.
Yeah.
Speaking of correctly, whoever gave news of Simone Biles' demise was incorrect, given what's happening.
Highly incorrect. Highly incorrect.
And let's put it this way. If you ever doubted the power of mental health, ability to get you feeling better about yourself, about your self-worth, and about your abilities, just take a look at Simone Biles. Just take a look at her greatness. Let's put it this way. With Simone Biles, 7 golds and a silver in this Olympics, 11 overall. Over 2 Olympics. The woman is a goddess. I will worship her until the day that I die. You've got to remember what she went through to get to those moments on the podium in order to appreciate her greatness. Let me just say that she lifted that team. She lifted the USA to the all-around gold, to the individual medals that she won, and what's more, she and the rest of the team, in fact, created a scenario where she could celebrate, Rebecca Andrade, when she won the gold. Did you see the moment where she and Jordan Childs actually essentially bowed down and celebrated Rebecca, who had come back from 3 torn ACLs?
Hard to come back from 1 torn ACL. Now she's done it 3 times.
3 times. I mean, that is to be celebrated. And the thing is that Simone, in her way, is the example and the epitome of a great athlete, but also an even better role model for young girls who are in that sport. I mean, she had suffered through that sexual abuse along with others, with Larry Nassar. In the early days, she faced her demons. She survived. She is going, whatever she does. Greg and I were talking about this yesterday as we were watching the Olympics, like all day. And we said, you know, whatever she does in her life, she could go anywhere, do anything, because she has reached the pinnacle and she has earned every stripe that she has gotten. And you have to say that she has changed the face of gymnastics. Her level of difficulty in all of what she's done has been astounding. She has 5, count them, 5 moves named for her. Biles 1 through Biles 5. And their level of difficulty, you know, most people at that level, most competitors do say a 5.6 to a 5.9. All of Simone Biles' level of difficulty on each event has been like 5.9 or better. And that's the kind of excellence that everybody needs to strive for in the event. And the reason why she has the Biles 1 through Biles 5 is that she was the very first to execute them in a major national competition. And she just has been that kind of role model. If she retires today and she hasn't made any announcement about her future plans, she said that she wouldn't. For a while, she was just going to exult in the moment, which is absolutely, she's entitled to that. I mean, my
absolutely.
God, she has got to exult in that moment. If she takes 5 months off, I wouldn't blame her, you know, but they're actually going on a tour right after the Olympics. There's going to be a gymnastics exhibition essentially around the country. That's what she's going to be doing, so she can meet the fans up close and personal. You know, there's only a certain number that can fit in any stadium, and not everybody can afford to go to Paris, but she can afford to go to Des Moines, Iowa, or Chicago, or you know, any place in the country that they want to. But that's what she's going to be doing, at least in the immediate after these Olympics are over. The thing that I am most grateful to her, though, is that she pushed the narrative on mental health and withstood a lot of crap to do so. She prioritized her mental health overall, and look at what it got her. I mean, is that not a better role model, a better example to follow? Take care of yourself, take care of that mental health, and the good things will follow.
I said this when it's happened, when I love her vindication. That she's vindicated because I heard all of the, you know, she's unpatriotic, she's childish, she should just play through it. And it's something that we are all told as grown human beings: when your body and your brain are telling you something, you listen.
Yes.
And she listened. And now she gets all of them to sit down, shut up, and take that L, because they are all taking L's.
That's something I've learned from as recently as like 3 nights ago, because when Jody and I were talking about Simone Biles, she peered right at me and said, "You don't have to do everything." And she looked me dead in the eye. She says, "You need to break more than anybody I know." I'm like, "Honey, I haven't done much." And she goes, "Are you kidding? With what you've gone through?" And
I mean, just look at the show, Brian. Like, let's be real. Look at the show. How far you've gone over 11 years now?
Exactly. And every day, every year, every month, every day, you strive to make this show better, striving to make this show take off. That takes a lot of mental strain, brother. that you
And the
had
thing is,
to
for
undertake.
those listening who are going through something, just remember it is okay to not be okay. There are
Yes.
people like you out there,
Yes.
and don't give up yet. There's still a lot of hope to hold on to.
Yes.
It was one of my messages I did in one of my podcasts. Simply put, I am not fine. That's
Right.
what Simone Biles communicated. She wasn't fine, and now we're seeing the result of that. I still have a few mountains to climb, but man, she's, how did Jimi Hendrix put it? She was standing next to some mountains and chopped them all down with the side of her hands.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Everything
That's
everything
right.
that she did.
And
And
the thing is, I compare Simone Biles to like the Michael Jordan of gymnastics. She is the greatest gymnast of all time,
Yeah.
easily.
Absolutely. Goat. Yeah, absolutely right, Victor. She is.
That's
and-
droid.
and-
That's
That was
droid
Victor.
that
That was
said that.
droid.
And
That's droid
if
that
you
said that.
haven't seen Simone Biles do her thing, it's an apt comparison. I mean, Victor, Ali, y'all know from being in Chicago, me from Chicago. If y'all hadn't seen what Michael Jordan had to put up with for 13 seasons, with every naysayer possible. I mean, even in his book, he said he felt there were eyes on his skin with everyone watching his every move. You can't tell me Simone Biles and women's gymnastics and women's sports in general, which we're coming to next, is going through that right now. It's crazy. And I got 4 letters, PWHL.
Yes. Yes.
You want to talk about it? You want to talk about a mental challenge? You want to talk about a mental challenge being on the main stage? How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, like, because the PWHL is the first very physical women's hockey league ever. Like, they allow hitting perfectly fine. And the thing is, it's as hard as hitting as college hockey.
And the finals went through a 5-game
games. That's all games.
I would go even further, Victor. I would say that it's a.
I'm sorry. That's true.
If you want to call it college hitting, do you think it's any less hard than a man's hit to a woman? I mean,
No.
I mean, they ain't sucker punches, baby. They are
from someone who's covered women's hockey from minor level to women's college hockey. You know, and Droid, you and I talked about this all throughout the PWHL season.
Yeah.
These women do not play. The first women's hockey game I ever covered, I was in Minnesota, and one of the coaches pulled me aside and said, "Are you calling this game?" "Yes." "Then you better be ready." And what he handed me, because I was at Mariucci Arena, he handed me a pair of binoculars.
3M at Mariucci, yeah.
I was at Mariucci Arena in Minneapolis.
That's University of Minnesota. That's a great place
Yeah.
to be.
And I said, "Why are you handing me binoculars?" "Because you're going to want to learn these young women's names." And for 4 days, they put me to work. Okay.
You were schooled, baby. You were schooled.
I was.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
And happily so. And happily so.
I've covered, of course, y'all know I've covered hockey for the last 3 years of my life. I've done it on my own podcast, which, by the way, it might come back. I'm not sure.
You need a carrier. You
covered,
got one.
I've covered the video game because there's a lot of leagues in there. I've covered that. And watching like just people be passionate about the game is insane. And then I watched my first PWHL Minnesota game. And those women on that Minnesota team that were the championship winning team, I didn't even know they were going to win the championship when I first chose a team. I was just like, you know what? What's closest to Chicago and to Kansas? Minnesota. We'll just send that.
Minnesota.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
And you know what, Brian? We need to cover PWHL games next season.
You see the 3 people on your screen, folks? That should tell you everything you need to know. Because before I crashed when the PWHL season got going, I got a hold of Alison and I said, "You want to do some PWHL games with me?" She was licking her chops. I was licking my chops. My body, however, had other ideas.
It happens.
Your body says, "Sit down somewhere."
There's also another idea I have with hockey, and it involves this team, and your.
You don't mean the Stanley Cup champions. You don't mean the Stanley Cup champions, do you?
Maybe. Oh, I don't know. What are you talking about?
You don't mean the now defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, do you?
I do. Every time Chicago and Florida plays, we're calling it.
You're on.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Back to women's sports. Even the WNBA has been growing over the years, and you see these contracts for these rookies are getting bigger and bigger over the years. This is the same thing the NBA had to go through. They weren't as popular, and they had to grow and get bigger and bigger and market more. But what they're not marketing right now is their good players like Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Sabrina Ionescu. They're not marketing their good players right now.
No, they're not, and it's a problem that unfortunately we all saw coming, especially with the arrival of Sabrina Ionescu a couple of years ago. And those of us who really follow women's basketball knew she's a tremendous talent,
and one of the best jump shots right now.
And then the craze of Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, not 1 year but 2 years. Because remember, they played each other for the national championship 2 years ago.
Right. That's right.
It's a great thing. We talked about the All-Star Showdown, and to me, the only thing that really spoke to me about the All-Star game was the
Sabrina
shootout between Steph versus Sabrina. Why didn't the higher ups of the WNBA really push that? Like after that,
would have been a good WNBA thing.
What's that? What's that, Droid?
Have an Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark 1-on-1 at the All-Star game.
I'll do you one better. Not only that.
Can I interject here?
Go ahead.
Yeah, because what more spectacle did you need than what was put out on the floor? Because let's make that a special exhibition, maybe after the season, maybe to keep it, let's make that a mid-year event or something like that. By the way, you mentioned Sabrina Ionescu. Let's not forget that we've got some quarterfinal action tomorrow with Miss Ionescu and the women's 5x5 basketball. They're playing Nigeria, which should be a real interesting matchup in the quarterfinals, especially with Asia Wilson averaging 23.5 points per game and 13 rebounds. Let's put it that way. A double-double each game. I mean,
how about Asia Wilson, man? Getting the cover for the WNBA
Y'all
edition.
just took the question out of my head. What kind of season that is Asia Wilson having that the mainstream media, and I've called them out since day one of the WNBA, doesn't want to put any respect on Asia Wilson, who is going to be not only the runaway MVP of the WNBA, but there's a word I will be glad to use, and that word, and y'all know it well, is unanimous.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, the only mainstream thing that's showing her love is 2K, because she's on the cover of the NBA 2K at WNBA edition.
Good.
That's fair.
And she should be. Look at the season that she's having. It takes folks like us and independent outfits like us to actually show the WNBA and women's sports, which is where Snowman Multimedia has leaned for the last 2 years now, to show them the love that's necessary.
Exactly. And I mean, let's put it this way. This pushes it into the mainstream, because when the independent outlets start covering it and say you gain some traction, that way the mainstream media will pick up on it eventually. I mean, look at How long did it take for the WNBA to get on something like ESPN? For God's sakes, look at how long it took for them to get even in the ballpark with them. And this was after the late, great, wonderful David Stern pushed and believed in the WNBA and wouldn't let go of it, even though many people on planet Earth told him, David, you're insane. Nobody, God bless you, Droid. Nobody on planet Earth is going to watch women's basketball. Nobody. Nobody cares.
Let me just say, one of the people that did
straight out,
Stephen A. Smith.
You know what?
You get no argument from me.
I always say this, like I detest.
I'm sorry, Victor.
Go ahead. I always say I detest David Stern, and everyone knows I was one of the biggest David Stern haters. But there is one thing I will give him credit for is the fact that he stuck to his guns and pushed for the WNBA to
absolutely.
So I gotta give him props for that.
Yeah, you give him his flowers.
When the league launched in 1997, I was glued to the television because y'all got to remember when the WNBA launched in 1997, it was on, dare I say it, network television,
local access,
NBC,
because
NBC had the contract for the first 4 years.
Because bring me back to the days when Fox had their own regional channels, man. Give me back Fox Sports Kansas City. Give me back Fox Sports.
Man, give me back Sports Channel. Thank you.
Give me back Sports
Vision. Okay, because when I got into basketball, it was Sports Vision, and I selfishly got hooked on hearing the voices of Jim Durham and Johnny Kerr. So that got
Sports Channel.
And also, can we bring back the time when Sportsnet was actually good and Sports Center?
Yeah.
When they talked about sports.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Did I say that aloud?
TikTok clips.
I'll say it again. They need to bring back Sports Center when it was an independent entity, and when ESPN was an independent entity and wasn't in bed with Disney and ABC, when they actually televised, talked about, and reeled in sports.
I remember those arguments from Sports Center about who was better, Kobe or Shaq. I remember those arguments. They were entertaining. And now it's just TikTok clips and these stupid internet clips. It's ridiculous.
And you know why I have 2 terabytes full of old basketball games on my computer.
Wow.
2 terabytes worth, because Victor saw all this old stuff I was watching, and this is one of the more playful arguments Victor and I had. He said, man, you need to get in modern times with basketball. I said, no, I don't. So I won't. Exactly. I mean, Victor said you got to get in modern times with. You got to get into the modern times with basketball. And I looked at Victor and I said, if you say who I think you're going to say, we are going to fight. And Victor's next word to me was, what you mean?
I put it like this. I always say this. I always keep my nose to the grindstone. I keep my heart with the past because that's what I grew up with. But I always keep my eye on the future because that's where I know where we're going to go. And I kind of gauge between those two.
Speaking of future, women's Olympic basketball, I'm going to say a ridiculous number, 58 straight wins.
Soon to be 59 and 60. Soon to be 59 and 61.
That's, I mean, Abdul-Jabbar and the Lakers won 33 in a row. Actually, the Lakers and Wilt Chamberlain won 33 in a row in 1972 in the NBA. But we're talking about every 4 years playing basketball, women's basketball, 58 straight wins. Man, Joe DiMaggio couldn't even get that number. He had a 56 game hitting streak. I don't think anyone's going to beat this team for a while. especially in 4 years' time when they go to the City of Angels.
Exactly. It's going to be great, and just imagine what it's going to be when in Los Angeles in 2028. Look at all the great people who have come up through Title IX. You'll see a whole new batch of superstars. You'll hell, you may even see Simone Biles. We don't know yet, but we will see.
And also, let me just remind y'all. LeBron James won't be in that Olympics.
Thank you, God. I'll actually watch.
And I'll
actually watch. Thank you, God.
Yet another.
Can we also talk about how much better our women's soccer team is than our men's team?
Amen.
Amen.
Can you? I'll ask Victor. Victor, how many Women's World Cups have the U.S. won in the last few years?
That's too many to count. That is
we've won 2 in a row.
2 of them.
In a row. This is not. Oh, we won this year and then we won the other year. No, this is 2 in a row.
Yeah.
You know
what has the U.S. men's team won in the last few years?
You know what? You know a sport or league I would love to create, or if it's been created already. I got hooked on the Major Indoor Soccer League back in the 80s.
Oh, sure.
The Chicago Sting, the Dallas Sidekicks, the San Diego Sockers, because Steve Jungle and Karl-Heinz Granitza were my 2 favorites. Okay? Let's create a women's version of that.
Yeah. That would be
lovely.
I'd like that.
You've got CONCACAF right now. And so that's probably the nearest equivalent. I do have to tell you, though, that the women's soccer team, first of all, they won over Japan. And today, right now, as we speak, they are playing Germany. You've got the bronze medal match coming up on Friday and the gold medal match on Saturday. Do not miss. And I am expecting a gold medal for the women's soccer team. I will accept no less because there's no reason. I mean, Alyssa Nair, my God, what a woman. You've got that outstanding goalie who is just the epitome of professionalism. She's done it for a decade or better now, and she is just a great key to all of their hopes and dreams. So we'll find out. Yeah.
Yep.
Naher, yeah.
Allie, let me get your thoughts, because you sent this to me in our notes. The boxing controversy.
Oh,
I want Alison to take the floor with her thoughts of this.
Yeah.
Go.
Interestingly enough, this is the question of how much woman is a woman has gone on for as long as the Olympics have gone on. They have used various methods over the years to determine whether or not a woman is a woman. It is humiliating for the athletes participating as women to be subjected to this test. As much was decided about a certain number of women, but these 2 athletes in question have they were proved to be women ultimately, both of them. But the question was of their fitness as women, because they were punching too hard. What the hell?
Like, it is
signed up for a gladiator sport, for God's sakes. Just like you tell boys you signed up to play, what am I looking for? Football.
It's like it's boxing. It ain't ballet.
Thank you.
It's not synchronized swimming. It's boxing. You're going to get hit, and you're going to get hit hard.
Hard. Exactly. My gosh.
And the thing is, there's now historically, there have been questions. Like, for example, in 1936, I think, there was a question about a very manly looking female athlete in the games called Sylvia Khan. And the question was, was Sylvia Khan actually a woman? They didn't have the testing facilities to figure out, because that was one manly looking woman. Let's put it that way. And there have been other controversies with the old Soviet Union. The question was of their testosterone levels. The question is also, how does one determine men versus woman? And what is, maybe there should be another category created.
Maybe.
I think so. I think it's really hard for them to quantify, and I think it's what they're trying to do. They're trying to quantify like how much testosterone or how much estrogen would be in your system to kind of differentiate. But it's not that simple. There are a lot of areas of gray when you're doing stuff like this. And so it's an unenviable task for the committee to do. But like you said, it's got to be extremely humiliating for the women involved when their gender is being called into question.
I mean, let's look at it also. I mean, Brittany Griner for years.
Yes.
Has been, because her voice is so damn low. Sure, she probably does have testosterone levels. She probably had, some like gender confusion at birth, but they chose to be a woman. Okay, they chose that. And that happens in a lot of instances. And so the debate will go on, because I don't think there is a very good answer yet. But I think there has to be a humane way of doing it. And maybe if your only options are male and female, or maybe non-binary, the category of non-binary, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that category? I want to know.
Society wants to put a label on any and everything. We've talked about this in the show so many times before. They want to put a label on any and everything. They find one. If society finds one little bitty fault with you, and we all have ours, and we've all spoken openly about it. Society wants to put a label on you and make you feel less than.
Yeah,
knock it off, will you please?
Well, for one, I think that's something confidential too. I think something confidential too, rather than putting it out there, putting your business out there. I mean, that's going to be confidential.
Yeah. I say let it be a very private thing. Great point. Very private, and not necessarily for human consumption. Of all of the negative comments that I've heard about Simone Biles or any other athlete competing, the most negatives that I've seen on any thread that I've ever been partaking of in this Olympics, it has been the controversy over gender. And it's like, oh, well, how do you tell? How do the God made man to be man and woman to be woman, and never the twain shall meet, and the thing is, it's not always that simple. Women have a certain amount of testosterone in their bodies. Men have a lot more, but but at the same time, that level of strength and that level should not be enhanced. It should just be, what God gave you, no matter what it is. Shouldn't be there should be no performance enhancing drugs. I don't know if that's even possible, but a lot of that has to do with the amount of testosterone for a woman in your system. And I know, even me, a little off topic, but my niece once asked me, she was 4 years old, eating at the breakfast table. She goes, Aunt Allison, why do you have a man voice? I'm going, a man voice? What is a man voice?
Children say the darndest things, don't they?
You know what?
I know.
My nephews and my grandchildren say the darndest things.
Okay? They do. They all do.
And they catch you so off guard. Like my little grandson, he's 5. One of them, Braylon, he's 5. I never thought this kid would convince me to play Fortnite with him, and yet there he was, handing me a controller, and I'm sitting on the edge of the bed playing the game with this kid, and he looks at me and he goes, "Grampy, why are you so tall?" What?
That's right.
My littlest granddaughter, Milani, played the cruelest practical joke on me during Thanksgiving weekend because 4 of the grandchildren came by the farm. We're all just having a ball, and the kids are running in the backyard. Mm-hmm. Milani played the dirtiest trick on a grandpa when she said, "You can come sit next to me." My spider senses went crazy, and it was telling me, "Don't do it, don't do it, snowman. You're gonna get in trouble. Don't do it." What's this sweet little girl do? Pokes me in the shoulder and goes, "Tag, you're in," and takes off. I didn't take one step off the porch, and yet by the time I got back in the house, I fell on the couch in exhaustion.
That is great. But you got to do that. I have to shout out Christine Brennan of Washington Post says, U.S. female athletes on par to overtake the males for the 4th Olympics in a row.
Good.
In medal counts. Mm-hmm. Just wanted to say, I got to shout out that, and first of all, for the very first time, women and men are equal in number at the Olympics. Gotta say, the reason being Title IX, the reason being that ruling and the generation of women coming up. Yes, gotta say, first of all, let's hear it for the swimming legends, since they're not going to be around, and they have so outswum the males in this edition of the Olympics. Katie Ledecky, 4 medals, got 14 in all, 9 of them gold. This Olympics, 2 golds in the women's freestyle and 800 meter freestyle, 1500 meter freestyle. Let's see, 1 silver in the women's 4x200 freestyle relay, and a bronze in the 400 meter freestyle. But she's not the only one. Then there's the other one, the overlooked Kate Douglas, a gold in the women's 200 meter.
Yes.
Let's talk about Carolyn Marks, who is a 2-time gold medal winner in the in surfing. I mean, surfing, people. Come on. All right, Valerie Allman, back-to-back discus throw golds. Okay. I mean, let's talk about all that. And she's a little thing. She's a little thing, and she throws it like almost 70 feet.
Don't tell her competition that.
Right.
Little nothing. Don't tell her don't tell her competition that, considering the fact she's kicking them all at the curb. Right?
That's right. That's absolutely right. It's amazing. And a little more swimming. Let's also talk about Gretchen Walsh, Tori Husk. You've got all those and Reagan Smith. I mean, those guys in the 4x100, they're the fastest swimmers in the world. They are the fastest swimmers.
Incredible.
I mean, come on. This is great.
Like I said, incredible, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
finally.
It is. Yes.
And Allie, you just said it best. Finally, finally, they're getting some credit where it's due. And it's been overdue. It has totally been overdue. And we're overdue to get out of here. But Alison, Moran, my dear, much love to you. Thank you so much
and you too.
Thank you for coming on. As always, we love you. Can't wait to do it next Tuesday. Thank you very much.
Love to do it with both you and Droid. You guys are amazing.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You guys are fabulous. Love you. Have a good week.
You too. Labor Day begins the 5-day-a-week trek of the Darian Hopkins Sports Show. That's right. Snowman Multimedia and Snowman Multimedia Sports Radio will bring you the Darian Hopkins Sports Show 5 days a week. We're working out the logistics like, time. And if y'all missed the Darian Hopkins Sports Show yesterday, I suggest to go get a replay because the subject of Aaron Rodgers appeared.
Oh,
and the steam came through Darian's ears.
By the way, I'm not a Packers fan. I just got this from like a giveaway back in elementary school.
That should tell you everything you need to know. We better get out of here. I'm hungry. Have a great day. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, they are simply not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. At nightfall, I'm doing much better, my man. Thank you. And thank you all. We're out of here. See you tomorrow when we really get totally deets. So long, everybody.